I honestly adore INFPs like so much. Like I really, really do. I don't know. They're the one type, along with maybe ISFPs too. But I think, I don't know, there's something about an INFP that like NESI that kind of makes them more like, I don't know, poetic and romantic. And there's just something about that that's like, oh, it's just so cute. I love
So, Alex, what do you think of INFPs? It's not just me, it's all the INFPs in your life. Otherwise, we're just like,
I guess INTJs have FI and then SE, so it's more like we have like a little ISFP inside of us. So I guess in that sense, like just seeing an FI Dom, I think just puts INTJs probably more in touch with their tertiary FI.
make your FI all like FI. Woo.
I don't know if I can speak for all INTJs, but I feel like maybe a lot of the time, especially when we're younger and more like self-conscious, we come across like one way to the world, and but we actually kind of feel maybe like, I don't know, maybe more the way an INFP kind of presents themselves to the world. So I think sometimes interacting with an INFP just puts us in touch with like our inner, I don't know, like spontaneity or like sensitivity.
Do we make you feel all fuzzy and warm inside?
Ah, warm fuzzy.
Now everyone's gonna be like, she's not a true INTJ. We are the world dominators in the shadows. I love INTJs. Like, let me count the ways. So, the same thing that you talked about with the FI match thingy, I think not even just in romantic relationships, but like friendships as well. Like, your higher TE kind of naturally puts me at ease.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
Oh, I guess in sense that I can like do most of the TE things, and that puts pressure off you.
It's just like this energy that puts me at ease. But like more concretely in terms of like friendships, my TE is really low, so sometimes I want to do all these things, but I just can't bring myself to actually like do them. For example, schedule this exact chat conversation. Like, you schedule that. Like, you were like, let's do this on this time at this day. I'm like, okay. It's kind of like little things to a lot of people, but the little things build up in the INFP psyche because it's just like we have such low TE that if anyone can just lift this burden, it's like, yes, I love you, I love you.
I think I appreciate the lack of like TE in INFPs. No, it's a good thing because I think like TJs and probably even FJs in a maybe slightly different way, but TJs always have like a very intentional like way of talking, right? Like they're not really exploratory like an NE user would be. Like I think if we're going to say something, it's probably already like a point that we formulated in our head. So I think talking with an INFP is just refreshing because there's not necessarily like, I don't know, this end point that they're trying to get to and like trying to tell you. It's just more, I don't know, it's just more open-ended and like freeing and liberating. Because they can just like explore like all these tangents like so exponentially just in. And yeah, and I think if you sometimes you can kind of get into a rut when you're talking to like other heavy TE users because you might just kind of come to the point you want to say and the other person comes to the point they want to say, and then it's hard to kind of get the conversation going from there.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I do agree that we never have a point. That's not what you said, but no, I agree because it's kind of like I read that thing about how in I users they already like see a path, but for NE users it's kind of like an untied thread. So it's like you're trying to weave a thread together, but there's like new threads popping up like as you go on, and everything. So like you don't really know what the final weave pattern is gonna look like because anything is like each thread pattern is equally real because you haven't weaved it yet. So is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that like you guys lift the burden of our repressed SE in a way. With an INFP who has that NE second function that just makes you so bubbly and like spontaneous, it's just kind of like a contagious energy that makes INTJs feel more able to like open up and just kind of be like SE spontaneous.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Oh, so this other thing that I really admire about INTJs, but just anyone who has an I in the top two tier, it's like you guys really know what is gonna happen. Like it's not even just overly planning because SI can overly plan the future as well, but like just kind of knowing how things are gonna unfold or being like creepily accurate predictors is amazing because I feel like I can't predict anything, or I have so many possibilities that I can't choose one, but like NI naturally chooses one, and they kind of see their choice as the natural choice as well. It doesn't even, right? Like, would you say that you don't see it as even a choice? It's just like, oh, like this is how things are. Like, I'm naturally gonna gravitate in this direction because, of course. Like, what? How did you do this?
Yeah, no, that definitely is true. Like, I just, I think maybe I'm not even aware of it a lot of the time since I'm only familiar with my mind and not anyone else's mind. But yeah, I think like for most aspects of life, I just naturally see the path that I am going to take. And yeah, I guess actually going out into the world and taking steps in that direction and then kind of using SE to determine like, okay, is this still the path I want to take? But even if I change direction, then there's like another singular path that I see as the correct way after that. So that's true. There is always this very singular vision.
Singular vision. Oh, that's another thing. If like, okay, I know INTJs are so scary or whatever, but like, I have this fantasy of fitting inside an INTJ's singular vision. Like, I'm like, yes, I wedged my way into their vision. I'm a part of the whole now. I'm like, as a non FE user, I'm never a part of any whole, so that feels good.
Right. Yeah, and I think NE is appreciated just in terms of opening us up to things that we probably would never have considered before.
Oh, oh, sunshine and rainbows. Yeah, I have another thing about INTJs now. So, okay, so this famous complaint, right, about INTJs and being emotionally cold or stoic. Yeah, like I can see that. But it's so refreshing. Like, once you kind of reach underneath and like unleash their crazy SE or like touch their FI and then they kind of maybe melt a little or like let you in, it's so much more valuable.
This is sort of like my theory of compatibility, and I guess I talk about compatibility not just like in romantic relationships, but just like any two people getting along. But I think that since we share the judging axis, so we have both FI and TE in common, we can just communicate with a lot more ease than an FI and an FE user could. But then having that opposite perceiving axes, right? So me being NISE and INFPs being NESI, I think that just puts everything that you talk about into like a completely different perspective that is often really enlightening and yeah.